And oh fuck, we are recording on Thursday, October 23rd, 2025 at 10:15 a.m. Eastern Time with Dr. General Astronaut EM Burlingame, who's been on here a zillion times before. You guys can go to the description, Substack, Twitter, YouTube, books, all that good shit. And yeah, I go into every single show with no idea what I'm going to talk about, and every once in a while I remember that I have nothing to talk about. Very rarely, and I just kind of it's like when you're on a plane and you've been fine with flying your whole life. And every once in a while, you're like, man, I really am up in the middle of the sky. And you just get a quick moment of like, let's not think about that. I just realized as I was like starting, I was like, I have no idea what we're going to talk about. And then, well, I never do. So, you know, with that, how you doing,
Well,
man?
let's start with the conversation we were having about a certain individual. We won't mention his name, just etc. But we're in a time right now, of great uncertainty, and we need to be checking on our friends because, I'm not saying that we're at a place where people are going to start disappearing off the street kind of thing. I think we've kind of backed away from that a little bit, but we're getting to that place.
Well, they
And
did shoot
so,
at the president last summer and they did shoot Charlie Kirk in the neck on
yeah,
TV. I mean,
so
it's not paranoia. It is
yeah.
real.
So so two things that we're checking there. It's not always, hey, did they get, you know, trunk monkeyed at some point, 3 days ago. But the other part is, you know, a lot of us, at least, the folks that like you and others that I talk with and other guests and hosts, everybody's working so hard right now to try and see what's happening so that we can, you know, do the best we can to keep everything from burning down. And that can get to people,
Oh, yeah.
even the best of people. And so sometimes checking to make sure somebody's okay is the FBI free Wi-Fi van outside, but the actual one,
Yeah.
um, with the big Proud Boys painted on it or something,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
Patriot front, excuse me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. But the other part of it is, like your regular guest, Colum, he's been in a couple dark places and Cullen and some others, so there's, I think it's this, we're getting to that time where we need to check on people, make sure they're still around and make sure they're doing all right because it's only going to get worse from here.
Yeah, and it is also okay to just, you know, kind of get burned out. I mean, it
Yeah.
stopped
Yeah.
around, I don't know, 5, 6 days ago, but for almost exactly 2 weeks, I just had fucking chronic 24/7 anxiety.
Yeah.
And I mean, I get anxiety. I'm an anxious person. I think it's probably good to have.
It's
I
Irish.
also know the difference between
Yeah.
a little bit every day and like you wake up in the middle of the night, heart pounding to go piss, and it's like this isn't okay. It's 8
Yeah.
p.m. at night, and you're sitting there kind of looking around, and like every little, it feels like you're on crack. And it's one thing when that happens for a day. It's another thing when it happens for a week or two, and it starts to wear on you. I actually had my parents come stay with me because I was just like, I'm so fucking wound up. And then
Mm.
there's a whole nother level. It's almost kind of worse when you have that, but you're doing everything in life right. Like that's okay to have and then go, maybe it's from the fact that I'm 4 months back on rent. Maybe it's from the
Mm.
fact I'm fucking drinking a liter of vodka, twice a day. But I've been sober almost 2 years. All my bills are paid. I'm losing weight. I'm
Uh,
saving money. Everything's good. Podcast is growing. It's almost a little worse because it almost kind of escalates a little bit because you go, what the fuck's causing it? What the fuck is
okay.
causing it? And it's for me,
Yeah.
I just kept going because sticking to my routine helps. But I also know I've been in that spot before, and there's kind of nothing else to do but go, just disengage, unplug, just disengage, cancel the shows for a week. Hey guys, I'll be back. Sometimes you got to do that, and it's like that's normal too.
So anxiety. I didn't think anxiety existed till I was in my mid to late 40s. I thought it was a made up thing by weak people.
Yeah, and I did until around my 20 college. Yeah. I was like,
Yeah,
shut
I
up,
thought it was
pussy.
totally made up.
Yeah,
I'm
shut
like,
up, bitch.
fucking pussies, right?
Yeah.
And then I had, the final coup de grace brain injury and started getting anxiety, and I had no idea. I mean, it probably took me 4 or 5 years to figure out what the hell it was.
Yeah. You don't even
Just
know
to
what it
figure out what
is.
the hell it is. Like, what the hell is going, so
Why am I why am I f-
why is my body
nothing's
tingling? Why am I,
nothing's
yeah,
wrong. Why do I feel
yeah,
like at any moment fucking
yeah,
Delta is about to breach charge my wall?
right? Yeah, well, for me, it was more my ex-wife's attorney was going to serve me with something.
But
Um,
still.
when it dawned on me, right, not to pick on my ex-wife, by the way, but those are interesting years, the divorce years. Um, give me a second. At some point, because I was pretty heavy into my TBI recovery at that point. I was about 2 years into it when I finally realized what the hell anxiety was. I was like, oh, first off, I also realized I owed a lot of people apologies for thinking they were weak. They're not going to get them, but yeah,
It for me, it not to like suck the oxygen out of the room. For me, it was deep dark depression after losing my brother to suicide. Because I would and I hate it, but so many times to be trying to help him and I just have to bite my tongue and be like, dude, just stop being a bitch. Like
yeah,
stop. And then when someone kills themselves, you go, oh, okay. And yeah, so
yeah.
yeah, I mean, yeah,
Did your brother play sports,
no,
contact sports?
no.
Did he fall on his? Okay,
Actually,
well,
no. He was the only one of us that didn't.
so generally, chronic depression like that is inflammation in the brain, and it's usually from leaky gut or some form of brain injury, whether it's acquired or traumatic, right? So toxicity induced or physical blow induced. And you don't have to be unconscious. You don't have to have any, you just repetitive blows. And it can take some years for them to show up. In fact, it can take up to 20 years or so for the real full. But let's get back to anxiety, not to revisit
No,
the
I don't.
loss,
No, I
but
don't care.
back
I'm
to
saying is,
anxiety.
yeah, you have a thing where you go, okay,
Yeah,
okay,
that
all right,
aha
got it,
moment.
noted.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So um I was when the corner started to turn on my brain starting to get healed substantively, I had serious damage here in the right lobe. I had serious damage in the back of the left, a hole in the top of the right or the top of the left, all and as the blood flow, and it's not necessarily physical holes, but it's reduced blood flow, all that kind of stuff, right? Functionality, synaptic firing. Okay, anyways. Um, when I started to get fairly healthy, functional, let's get that, where I could start putting sentences together again and could remember things for more than a picosecond, I started to get really serious anxiety. So I started to do some studies. And at the same time, I was getting into Dr. Ian McGilchrist's articulations of split brain, right? So the divided brain. And what we worked out, in the foundation of helping people, and then through my own experience, and then talking with, the doctors at National Foundation for Integrative Medicine that I'm with, was that anxiety is not tied to, same with post-traumatic stress, because that's what it is. It's like full-blown anxiety. It's not, so it's the two hemispheres physically conflicting with one another in the attempt to communicate with one another. So it's two energetic bioelectric fields conflicting with one another. Well, when you walk through, a strong electromagnetic field or strong electromagnetic field, your body feels anxiety. You could feel it through your whole body when you walk through a strong EMF field. Well, the same thing's happening in the skull when the electromagnetic field of the left hemisphere and the electromagnetic field of the right hemisphere, which talk through the corpus callosum, are not getting into sync. This corpus callosum is not able to regulate those two signals so that the two hemispheres are able to update each other. And what generally happens is the left hemisphere steps on the right hemisphere, right? Doesn't even think it exists, and it's trying to force its signal update through the corpus callosum to the right. Well, that's what anxiety is. It's two electromagnetic fields battling it out in your brain through the corpus callosum, mostly through the corpus callosum. Okay. The trick that I learned, not the trick, but the method I learned to deal with it is I had to accept first off that it was a physical thing going on, not a neuroemotive, neuropsychological, it wasn't a narrative thing. It had nothing to do with what my brain was furiously trying to attach the anxiety to, the little story. It was a physical thing going on where the two hemispheres were trying to talk to each other to update, and they were having a problem doing that. I had to be able to, one, do not drink during that period
Yeah.
because you'll further dysregulate.
Yeah.
Don't do marijuana because actually you may get a reduction, but what it does then is it adds additional noise signal you're going to have to process at some point, and then you just keep smoking more and more and more and more. So I've never been a marijuana smoker anyways. I
Yeah, no, I went. That's why I'm sober 2 years. I'm at a point where I'm like, it's thermonuclear warfare. Well, what an interesting
yeah,
game. The only way to win is not to play.
yeah.
That's what I found. Not to play, man. I don't know. Go to bed, drink some water.
That's okay. So that's the point, right? Is so you go through the day till you can get to sleep. And sometimes you can't sleep for 24 hours, 15, 16, 18, 24, 48 hours. But as long as you don't buy into any of the narratives that your because the cognitive dissonance is furiously throwing up narratives for you to associate it with. And as long as you just let that happen, realize none of that's real, it's just the physical thing, and then get sleep, real sleep, not alcohol induced sleep, not drug induced sleep, but real sleep. You'll wake up the next morning in some form and fashion of cognitive capacities will have actually been turned back on because that's what the two hemispheres were trying to do. It's like I fixed this problem. I need to tell the other hemisphere, hey, this problem's fixed. Here's how I did it. Or, we can update this signaling and communication between ourselves. And so once I when I realized that this is 2019, I think, right? Maybe 2020. Um, Man, things started to get better faster. Anxiety didn't last as long. And now I'm in a place where I haven't been anxious in probably 2 years.
It's what you're saying about not buying into the narratives. That's that's something when I say recent, I mean like the last 2 months of my life.
Oh,
I've
wow.
finally reached where I've gone like
None of that's real.
and it because
Yeah.
and it it'll come on every day or so, and or if not every day, a lot, and it's finally got to a point where it's I get this feeling of like I'm letting everyone down. Who's everyone? It doesn't matter. Uh, I'm somehow I'm really fucking up on this show. I am consciously doing wrong, and I'm like that's not true. It
Yeah.
is,
Yeah.
you're a real piece of shit son. You're a real piece of shit brother, and I'm like debatable brother, but I'm like that, I'm like that. I'm like
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
and I'm like oh, you just you could improve. I'm like no, I'm fucking dead sober, died and sleeping, reading like you know annoyingly so, like self-improvement.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And
But
and
that's the
then
issue.
yeah, it kind of goes away towards the end of the day. And so what I mean recently, man, I mean like I don't even know if it's been 2 months where I've finally gone, these feelings are here every day. I don't think they're gonna go away. Don't try to get bogged down on saying go away, go away. But I've just gone, I don't think that's real. Or or hey, I'm because it is weird. Then around, I don't know, 6 or 7 p.m. every day, it just starts to let off a little bit.
Dissipate.
And if there's anything still there, which it used to be, like, ooh, I'm a bit overweight. Ooh, man, I am drinking a lot. But there's nothing still there. Around 6 or 7 p.m. it goes away, and I'm like, wow, look at this, look at the sun hit those clouds. And it's how many thousands of times can you do that before you finally go, I was just in the shower before this. And I was like, man, I feel a little anxious. And a little part of my brain went, wow, isn't that stunning, Tommy? This is news. Like this has never happened. I actually started laughing. And I'm like, oh, what a surprise. You feel a little anxious today? And I was like, you know what? It's almost like I got your nose. I got your nose. And you finally
Yeah,
hit
yeah,
like
yeah,
4 or 5 years
yeah,
old. Yeah, you don't have my fucking nose. Knock it off. Like, yeah.
So one of the things that, this gets back to the check on your friends stuff, right? Is it's something I didn't realize till I was really got serious about writing the novel. And, you know, I probably have half the people who that I know probably muted me on Twitter because I post too much. Um, but when you sit down to write a novel and you're trying to write, serious, historically accurate, connected, all of that kind of stuff, you do a lot of research and you look at a lot of things and you think out a lot of things. It's what I do all day. It's what got me, invited to talk on shows and other things. And there are some days, like yesterday was one of them, after 2 days of really detailed thinking and writing and study and then writing and then rewrite, right? Um, I wasn't anxious, but in many ways I was in a anxiety-like place. And here's why, and this gets back to you and your anxiety. What do you do all day? You explore complex space.
I, I was about to say it's contemplation inertia. And I've gotten a little better about this, and I'll shut up and I'll get back to it.
Mhm. Yeah,
I've gotten a little better. Maybe I'm around not even a year into going. Thursday's the last day of my week. You're gonna finish the shows today, and you're gonna probably pace around your apartment and going. And on every Thursday, I cancel my Monday shows because I go. I need a lot of time off,
yeah,
and then I take 2 days of not.
yeah.
I don't.
And you reach out to one of us and
I don't even take the
yeah,
stairs. I'll start taking the
yeah,
elevator. I don't check
yeah.
emails, and I don't think and explore. And around 48 hours, I'm like, let's get back at it. So no, that mental, like
Yeah.
contemplative inertia.
Yeah. Okay. So I didn't really make the connection again until in this last probably year, right? That I'm sitting down writing this, seriously writing the novel and related stuff. Um, and then talking with you guys and thinking, and quite genuinely thinking, we're gonna have to gun up today or tomorrow or, all that stuff. But point I'm getting at is this, is that we are putting so, and it's not just us, it's much of humanity because we're just getting overwhelmed with things, right? They're just bombarding us all the time. Point is that the two hemispheres of the brain don't actually like to talk to each other. And they both process everything, but they process it in very different ways for very different purposes. One for risk assessment, broad spectrum risk assessment, and the other one is for when I say manipulation and control, I don't mean psychopathic way. I just mean, to be able to use your hands and to do specific things, right? And so the two hemispheres of our brain, as we're intentionally working out complex space, need to have some time to signal rectify between the two of them to get back onto a common picture. And that takes time because again, the corpus callosum is 90+% inhibitory neurons. Its sole job is to limit the amount of communication between the two hemispheres to only those things that are truly important. Well, when you're doing model map updates, substantive model map updates, particularly in the right hemisphere, because that's broader spectrum stuff, and the left hemisphere doesn't think the right hemisphere exists, that's been done in split brain studies and et cetera. Um, you're going to have a lot of anxiety as those two electromagnetic fields clash because the right hemisphere is trying to update the details, the lists, the tables, the descriptors, etc., that the left hemisphere maintains. And it's having a hard time doing it because the bitch of the left hemisphere is yelling and screaming at you. And so one of the things, you know, one of the ways to deal with it is rather than meditating, and I learned this when I was very young because I've been this contemplative person, the study person my whole life since I was a little kid, one of the ways I learned how to deal with it and why I probably didn't have anxiety till the hard physical brain injuries. And also probably why the brain injuries got so bad because I didn't realize I had severe brain injuries, so I didn't go get checked. Um, Aside from the military that checks you, but doesn't really give a damn, so their checks are like jokes. Um, I found, and I still find that stopping every 40 minutes to an hour and a half or whatever it is, it's not a set thing, but stopping 4 or 5 times in the day and meditating for like 2 minutes
That Dude, that's
and just turning and the meditation specific, terribly sorry, the meditation is specifically shut up, right? It's,
that
and I just realized, about a year or so ago, it's like the right hemisphere is quite lit, and I'm intentionally, as an overall being, telling the left hemisphere, shut up, listen,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. It's I use a meditation for a lot, and sometimes I'll go into it purposely. I'm like, we gotta think this stuff out. I call it like prime time thinking.
Yeah,
8 hours of sleep, gym, meditate. I'm like right there. I've got like 20, 30 minutes for the best. But I'll do thinking. I'm like, okay, we're gonna grow the show, blah, 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 blah.
uh,
And I started meditating 2008, junior year of college or
mm,
high school, like whatever. I didn't even know what I was doing.
uh,
Sophomore year of college, when I became like pre-med, I started meditating. It was no part of me was like to become a deeper person, or I was fucking
uh,
hardcore atheist, materialist, reduction. We're all just fucking real fucking self-hating, like we're just biological shit. I would meditate every 90 minutes. You said 45, every
uh,
90 minutes, but not think about anything. And I would do it for 20 minutes. And the only reason I did it was so I could get back to studying. And that's how I did 12-hour bits is people go, how do you prove? I'm like, you have to stop. And you can
yeah,
try not, and you can try it. Go without meditation. That second 90 minutes, the diminishing returns is like you're going to get done 5%.
uh,
If you just shut up and let all
yeah.
the snow globe, let it
Let the
all
two
come
talk to
down,
each other.
then
Yeah,
you go, okay, go. Yeah, meditation doesn't always have to be like a deep. I kind of mix them
no,
all now. I do like one and then I do the quiet at the end of it. But it doesn't all have to be this deep find out,
no,
it can you can use it as a medication. You can use it as like a
yeah.
fucking,
As an EpiPen
use it
or
tactically. It's why I do
yeah,
it before the shows.
yeah,
Just shut the fuck up because I'm
yeah,
about to not shut the fuck up for, as
yeah,
you can tell, like,
yeah.
Yeah.
So I benefited from my whole life. I've just randomly benefited from, some older, greater thinkers, or even just sometimes random person who'd say the most profound thing, right? Um, I've always believed that you need to try and live your life as a meditation. And when I say meditation, it could also be prayer for, the religious types. And I respect that, right?
Yeah, sure.
But you know, not it as a thing that you do because it's a thing that needs to happen in your day, but more of a, why am I not living my life as a meditation or a prayer? Right? Isn't that kind of what the old masters, the old monks and St. Thomas Aquinas and
Just
Buddha and everybody else were saying is that you need to, and then, today, for the reductionist atheists, they call it flow state. But, isn't that kind of what we're trying to all get into? And well, if that's the case, then it isn't a thing that we do at set times or, in when we're in certain conditions. No, it's like a thing you're trying to actually figure out in all this complex world, so you're not a um, vegetarian, non-violent, pacifist, uncomfortable clothing, wool clothing wearing kind of,
yeah.
self-flagellant, right? But I'm getting to hippies. I don't like hippies. Um, it's a state we're trying to get into, and that state, if you can move through your life with, through your day with it regularly and find out how to do that, then a lot of this anxiety stuff goes away, even in a complex world, because synaptically, um, your system and neurologically your whole system, right? You got two brains, the enteric brain and you got the cranial brain and then your nervous system. If you're finding ways to move through anything as a meditation or a prayer, your system automatically will find a picosecond here, a nanosecond there, a millisecond here to calm. And then those, what is anxiety at the physical level? Well, it's electric potential, right? It's this electrostatic buildup. That's not quite exactly right, but it's the way for people to, and it's building up to a potential and then it's got a release, right? And you're feeling this energetic humming in your body, basically. It's still really just the two hemispheres of the brain trying to rectify their two views of the world and needing a little space and a little freedom and a little time. And, I wonder if the ancients, before all this technology and communications and constant ever connectedness, I wonder if the ancients actually ever felt anxiety or if they were
I
just
don't
moving through the world
I don't think
as the
yeah.
world happened, right?
Yeah, I don't think, and I'm not going to romanticize 200,000
Yeah,
years.
no,
You know, some
no,
people
yeah,
do.
yeah,
They're like, that
yeah,
was when it's like, that's also when you were getting like eaten and raped by a saber-toothed
yeah,
tiger. Like,
yeah,
yeah, I'm like, but no, there's a lot to that. I mean, there's my parents' place years ago. There's no cell, nothing,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
and like an hour out, and it would just you'd just go into a black hole for a couple days, and you'd finally around the halfway through the second day, you'd give up on your phone because there's nothing even on here I can look at, nothing's updating, and there is you start to kind of harmonize with you just go outside and it's just the only thing you hear is kind of like leaves and like, you look at the lake and the sun goes down
yeah.
and the
Temperature fluctuations on your
stars come
body.
out and it
Yeah,
just starts to get even just hearing like a wolf or like a loon kind of howling at night. There is something. There's I always imagine I'm like I think that's kind of what death is. I think you probably go back to just like that feeling of like ashes to ashes and it's like well and for a lot of my life I was like I just wish I could be there all the time and what I've realized is like no I like being in the game is anxiety inducing. It's fucking fun as fuck. It's real. And
yeah,
it's also like I think you get to go back to that. It's like, dude, I think Ramdas said it. He was like, hey, if you want after this lazy, you can go just be wind on a mountain for 10,000 years if you want. He's like, but right now you're here, so get as much as you want. Like and I feel that sometimes. I'm like, part of me knows. I'm like, I can go back to this. I can go back to just a creek on a mountain in the middle of the winter with no one around to witness it. Like you can go back and be that. After a while, I think you can. But it's like right now, we're in this crazy fucking video game and you can affect it. There's real world. You can affect it and you can fuck with it. And it's, you know, you want peace, but sometimes it is also just like fucking insane, and it is,
well,
you know,
I think that you can have both.
yeah,
It's just that, again, living your life and your day, even the fight, even the battle is a meditation or a prayer,
yeah,
allows you those moments, those in between gaps, those little shikaku, as the Japanese say, the little entryways, right? Um, it gives you, if you get it into your frame of mind, okay, I'm going to move through this, flow state, whatever you want to call it, right? Prayer, flow state, meditation. It's all the same stuff. But if you can move through the whole day that way, you wind up having that little moment on the mountaintop three, four times in a day. You
yeah,
have the little loon and the
yeah,
right. But if we don't get into that place, then that doesn't happen, right? And it is only the chaos and the conflict and the fight. And yes, we've got all this anxiety or tension and and somehow the two hemispheres got to talk to each other at some point, and it's a major update. And so now we're going to be anxious for 6 hours of the day, or what, whatever it is, right? Or pace around. And um, but if we can get into this kind of, all right, I'm in it, I'm committed, right? I'm here, I'm gonna play, I'm at the party, so I'm going to party, or I'm in the gun, I'm at a gunfight, so I'm going to gunfight, but I'm not going to take it too serious. I'm not going to be all rigid and structured and industrial era kind of, mindset. It's like there's a lot of seconds in a day. There's a lot of picoseconds and nanoseconds and milliseconds, and electromagnetically things happen in
Yeah,
femtoscales, right?
attoseconds. Yeah.
Right? It's like, so why am I missing all of those opportunities to rest and relax and chill, or let the two hemispheres, update, right?
Sometimes I think of like, there's different kinds of unconscious. I think the one most people know is the highway,
Mhm.
where all of a sudden you go, how the fuck did I get here? You know?
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, that one's nice. It's not necessarily peace. It's not really bad, but it as an abstract idea. I think another one, it's a little harder to attain is like, and I'll get it in like video games, playing with like Stoli or like, like
Yeah,
Helldivers or
yeah, yeah.
something, where you're just in these gunfights and you're chatting on Discord and you're running around and like all of a sudden you'll and as the levels get harder, all of a sudden you'll kind of note like a mission finishes and like if one of my say it's once he's like it's kind of odd of like no communication, but everyone goes nonverbal the last 3 minutes and it's like yeah, and you're just like you're a lead farmer. You're not wasting shots. You're like, I mean, you got to start going for the heads. You can't do center mass. And it's like even there, it's like obviously it's a game. Shit's blowing up and everything, but like what does it feel like subjectively? Just zen. You're just there. You're the
So,
you're just you're there. And
s-
there's no you can't there's no self to reflect on the fact that there's experience happening. It is just experience. It's the Tao, the whatever the fuck you want to call it. You're there. And it's blissful. It's chaotic, but it's blissful.
but it's the two hemispheres and all the neuronal and bioelectrical systems in your body in concert, not in conflict, right? So, when you were saying that, the image that came to mind of the chaotic beings in a state of bliss is the two different Jokers in, so Joaquin Phoenix Joker when he's dancing is all the chaos is going around.
Well, I haven't seen that one. I still haven't
And
seen the Joker. I
then
only know Heath Ledger.
I mean, it's extraordinary movie. It's a bit over the top and it's rather disconcerting because it is actually a harbinger of a subset of a non-inconsequential subset of the population and where they are neurocognitively, neuroemotively. And that movie connected so well is a bit spooky. Um, give me a second.
Yeah, he said he was
The
dancing.
Yeah, well, the other one is Heath Ledger, who personally I think was a brilliant Joker.
Oh, yeah.
But there's that scene when he's leaving the hospital, and it was just the whole thing, right? He's in the flow state. He's in a meditative prayer. Yeah, exactly. When he's walking away from the hospital, and he's right, but he's in this trying to blow shit up. It's not working, etc. But if you just look at him, he's perfectly happy. He's in a good
Yeah.
place. He's thriving. What is that? Moisturized,
The
thriving.
moisturized thrived in my lane. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Right. So it's like you don't have to necessarily go to the level of being the Joker,
Sure.
right, for this to work, but it's an extraordinary example. I've heard guys talk about major gun battles and 3-day fights, in Afghanistan or well, Afghanistan, but really Vietnam, etc. And the guys that survived, the guys that, ended up getting the medals of honor, etc., like Earl Plumley, they didn't, it was kind of like the freeway thing you're talking about, right? It's like they just got into a flow state, didn't stress, didn't add additional cognitive, neurological stress, et cetera, and they just flowed through it. It's like, okay, I'm going to die or this too will pass, right? And so I think that this particularly again, because again, you and I were talking before we started about a mutual contact colleague friend and concern for him, right? I think that all of us who are in this trying to plot, trying to understand what's happening with the world so we can keep it all from burning down, so maybe the opposite of the Joker. Um, I think we all need to get a bit more, we need to be more cognitively, we need to be more aware that neurologically, neurophysiologically, neurocognitively, at the physical level, we are putting our systems through an immense, immense amount of burden, right? Biomolecular, bioelectrical burden. And many of the coping mechanisms we've developed where we take certain amount of times and we go do certain things might not be sufficient, particularly as this all accelerates as it is. And that we might, like I was an insomniac most of my life till actually I started to seriously recover from the brain injuries. I was an insomniac from the time as a child till I was in my late 40s. Um, how do you deal with that, right? And like Winston Churchill, during the entirety of World War II, he would sit in a chair, hold a spoon or something in his hand, and as soon as it hit the ground and woke him up, he'd get up and go for another couple hours because that was the demands of the war. Um, and he did that for all 5 years of the war. So point is that now I'm not recommending that for anybody, right? Because
No, but
that comes at a massive cost. But the point
he
is that we need
even
this.
F but sorry, even
Yeah,
FDR was like, he'd be smoking cigarettes and drinking heavily, and the doctor would be like, as your lungs are slowly filling
yeah,
with,
yeah, yeah,
and there was just sort of like he had just he had just committed to like, I don't get out of this, just go all in. It's the final sprint. If you need
yeah,
alcohol to sleep, you
yeah.
use it. And again,
Yeah, it
not
was
the
the
best
same
way to
with
go,
His
but
Majesty King
yeah,
George VIII. He was the
yeah.
same. He was just chain smoking
He was like, here,
and
he wasn't looking at it like, I hope I get out of this. He was like,
yeah,
this is why I'm here.
correct. We're at war, and
There's,
so I have to do. Yeah.
yeah.
So, point I'm getting at is that we don't need to go to those extremes yet, and may we not have to. But point is, we might want to all take uh, a little bit more close look at how we are handling the cognitive burdens that we are putting ourselves through, and look at our not coping mechanisms because that's not the right term, but how are we, maybe we need to adapt our fortification, self-fortification, repair, recoveries, concepts and ideas so that we're doing it a little bit more regularly through each day, consciously at first. And then, like for me, I moved through my day kind of meditative for years. Um, Initially, though, for years, I had to consciously think about that. Now it's just in this state, unless I get knocked out of it by something stupid that I've probably done.
There's also, for me, kind of the whole, viewing anxiety as a weakness. It took a long time for me to realize that rest was necessary.
Absolutely,
I
yeah.
know that sounds silly, but I mean, like, I stopped looking at it as like a drawback of my fleshly machine I'm in, and it would just, I looked at it more as like, you just have to stop and let it all regenerate. And like, I would always
Yeah,
take 2 days off from the podcast, 2 days off from the gym, the same days. But I would, even when I'd get up, I'd still get up, make my bed, do all my morning routine. And I don't know, I've gotten kind of better about it mostly this year, of where, no, like, I don't do, and the only thing I'll hold on to is if I need to, I'll do like but even then on the weekend, it's not 30 minutes. I'll do a quick 5 minute meditation
there you
and
go.
that's it. But everything else, and I have to like force myself. You're not allowed to check emails. You're not allowed to schedule.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to do anything. And it's even the tiniest shit. Just like when I wake up every morning, I put ice in the ice or make ice trays. I don't even do that on the weekends. And just put it all, I don't listen to the hour of the audiobook. And this took years to get to the point where like remove it all. And I've stopped looking at it as like, okay, I caught my breath. Now I can keep going. Now I look at it as, I mean, it's the yin and the yang. I'm like, I don't look at sleep as like, oh, you bitch. I'm like, no, I'm militant. I know I need exactly 7 hours and 20 minutes. And I know to get that, I need eight. And so I don't overthink it. I know I need nine. And to not overthink that, I get in bed with 10 hours. And I do that. I don't look at that as weakness. And I know it's working because for the first several years of the podcast, around day two, my mindset was, okay, I can start doing podcasts again. Versus now, it's actually gone further where I go, it's not I can. A little part of me starts,
Getting anxious.
I'm waiting to be like subbed in. I'm waiting to, basketball game, like blow the whistle, let me in. Like
Gotcha.
it stops being like, I think I can do some shows and it starts getting like a little hungry. I'm like, let's fucking do some, let's fucking break this thing's neck. And it's like, I'm amped to go. And
Yeah,
that is
yeah, 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 yeah.
relatively new for me. And it's, again,
Yeah.
it's just dropping. It's like, how do you don't do that. You don't do it.
So 40, I don't know, 45 years, 48 years of insomnia gave me immense numbers of hours to read because that's mostly what I did, because a lot of this was before the internet,
Yeah.
right? And even with the internet, it wasn't all of this immersive entertainment stuff that we got today. So it was going and looking up. So that's what I did. I mostly filled the extra hours with reading and thought. And it gave me extra years of my life. But it's only been since I started to sleep regularly and since recovery, really the anxiety stuff, when I realized that is when I realized you need to get regular sleep, right? Because that's what fixes that and
Oh
makes
yeah.
sure it doesn't happen. Why? Because when you're asleep, when you're dreaming, what is that? That's literally the two hemispheres rectifying their picture of the world. That nothing you're seeing, visually matters, right? Maybe it does. I don't know.
And your brain, like, that's
People.
when your brain like, essentially like defrags your computer. It like
Well,
it physically flushes all this shit
it's when
out.
the two that happens too, but it's the two hemispheres
Yeah.
get a chance in a quieter, internal, quieter environment to go, okay, this is what I see. This is the updates that I've done. What do you see? What are the updates you've
It's the two
done?
world leaders meeting in a skiff and not over news conferences.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah, some tea and some
They
crumpets,
drop
right?
everything, drop the phones. Okay, what the fuck do we have to do for this to stop this?
Exactly. Well, it's exactly. It's like, yeah, stop listening to that asshole. They fucking don't know what they're talking about. And
Yeah.
okay, what do we do? Yeah. So
Your
that's
general
exactly the
said,
case. So
fuck that faggot. What do we need? Like,
exactly. So what I've come to realize is that, yeah, well, I probably couldn't be an insomniac anymore. It gets about 8 o'clock at night and I'm like, I'm tired. Of course, I'll wake up at like 3 in the morning or 4 in the morning sometimes. It's like, okay, I'm awake. Let's get to work. But um, the point is, I wasn't able to actually put all of this extra years of study and reading everything I get my hands on. Sometimes I had stacks of research papers in different subjects and um, used to annoy the hell out of my wife because I would just print off these, papers of all this random stuff and they'd be left around. I mean, there would be stacks around, but I didn't leave them all over. Anyways, point is that it wasn't until I started to get regular sleep that I was able to actually start putting all of these things together, piecing it together, right? And so I know people, somebody commented, I know very wealthy, successful people who rarely sleep. I mean, they sleep every night, but it's 2 to 4 hours and then they're up and they're working and it's like Trump, right? He's doing all hours of the day, et cetera. And when I was an analyst for the partners, I would travel with them and some of those guys wouldn't sleep on the plane. They would work the whole time on the plane. They would work. the whole day once we got there. They might sleep that night, they might not, because usually there's social things. That's where the real deals happen. Um, but they were all operating within a structured system, a formal structured system, in that case, finance or military operations, or in Trump's case, the diplomatic political environment. None of them were able to do really deep cognitive thinking as to the deeper meanings of things. They were mostly reactive.
It's why I call getting in a med school easy. It's not, but it is
It's a
because
system.
you
It's
know
known.
exactly what you have to do.
Yeah,
Now you got to get in the top two
yeah,
percentile,
yeah, yeah.
but you know what to do. You take this class, you can look 37 months ahead and know exactly what class you'll be in.
Yeah.
Why is this more difficult? How do you make it? How do you monetize them? I don't know.
You have to actually think, and well, thinking is a high cognitive, thinking is an unbelievably metabolically expensive thing.
It is I do maybe what an hour podcast a day. It's legitimately more exhausting than 12 hours a
Yeah.
weekend.
Yeah. All right, my friend. So I
I
think what
know.
we
I was gonna
figured
say
out today is that,
we figured out the world's problems today.
well, maybe our own,
Yeah.
and maybe only today's problem. Um, yeah, we need to check on our friends more. Um, all of us who are in this kind of thought and communication space are going, the cognitive loads on us are only going to get greater. We need to put more thought into turning off more regularly in a day, through the day, giving ourselves a little bit of intentionally. And it's very much what you said. What is it? It's not
Don't
sit
view it
down
as
and meditate, try
weakness.
to figure out something. It's like, shut the fuck up.
Also, don't view it as weakness. View it no different
No.
than you got to charge your phone, you got to put gas in the car, you got
Well,
to,
it's just like in a gunfight. If you get a break in a gunfight, you check your weapons, you
yeah.
reschedule, you reset, you rest, right? Especially if you're in a 2 or 3 day fucking running gun battle. You rest as much as you can. You get as much because you don't know. It might be 3 hour fucking nonstop. It might pop off at any minute. So, for people that are doing this heavy cognitive lifting right now, as the world is changing fundamentally everywhere at every level, you need to kind of think about this as the way guys, special operations guys and infantry guys, and primarily, but some others as well, how they deal with a 3 day, 5 day, 3 month gun battle or gunfight. And we need to start taking care of ourselves, accordingly.
And I'll say this to close it, I didn't even think about it till you were saying, regardless of how crazy the finance guys are, they're still working within a just that's why I could probably two, 3 nights a week in college. Didn't get nearly enough sleep, but even that, it's because I was still just going through a checklist versus
Yes,
this.
yes,
I can't
yes.
do this. I can't do entrepreneurial. I can't do that on no sleep. And
So the two hemispheres have to update for us to do what we're doing. And that means you have to turn it off for a minute here, 3 minutes there, right?
but what I was gonna say, and it didn't dawn
Mm,
on me till you 2 minutes
mm.
ago, in a place where you're lacking formal structure, create the formal structure where you can, which for me, 8 hours of sleep, go to the gym, meditate 30 minutes. I'd listen to the audiobook, I'd do all my fucking shit. Make the structure where you can
Yeah.
because there's a large canvas where there is no structure and you got to be ready for that. So that's
Yep.
what I'd say. But I know I got to let you bounce. So
Yeah, yeah,
guys,
yeah.
description, Twitter, YouTube, Substack, blah, 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 all that shit. And as always, brother, thank you so much.
Take care, Tommy.
All right, man.